We are going to pick some glass today to work on this new design. So right now we're just going to go ahead and pick some grays for the rock face. Okay, so I have a few different options. This is kind of a browny gray. I don't really think it's the vibe I'm going for. The other option that I think would be really good is this. It's a gray with some white in it, and we're gonna go with that. The first piece I want to cut is this piece here. So I'm gonna lay this over, and this is nice because I'm gonna get a really nice square edge because I'm just going to lay this piece right on top. And I can see my line through here. So I'm just going to trace this. And then we're taking our scissors and cutting this out. Then you want to bring over the piece of glass that you are using. This is going to be the side where I'm scoring and breaking, and then this is going to be the side where the pieces are going to get kind of pinned into place. So this is the right side of the pattern, and I know that this is the right side of the glass because it has a little bit more texture. You can see there in the light. Than the other side. Now really, technically you can use either side, and actually both of these look like they have texture, but in person I can tell this is kind of meant to be the front, I think. So I am going to just use this corner, I've decided, so I get a really nice right corner, but I want to cut on the wrong side of the glass. So I'm gonna take my piece, and I'm just gonna put it like that. I know it's the right way. Flip it over. And then I'm gonna take a Sharpie. If you're using light colored glass, you wanna use a dark colored Sharpie. If you're using dark colored glass, you want to use light or silver Sharpie. So I am just holding this right up to the edge. And then I am just tracing the piece. And so you can see this line is going to be pretty thick because this is a thicker Sharpie. And I know that I want my score line to be on the inside of that line. Then you're going to take your scoring tool and your oil. This is an older one, but this is just what I use. And you can dip into it. I just like to kind of dab a little bit on like that. And then you're going to come in. So you want to start just a little bit in from the glass. And you push hard enough until you can hear this specific line. And then you're going to take your pliers. You want the flat side to be on top. And I'm just going to grab here, putting pressure and pulling it up. And there you go, I have my piece of gloss. So let's see how well it fits. So that looks pretty good. I can tell I want to do a little bit of grinding just to make some of these jagged edges a little smoother. So let's go over to the grinder. We are at the grinder. Got to make sure your safety glasses are on, even over my glasses, because I have gotten little flecks of glass, at least it felt like it in my eye. So we have the piece of glass, this is the back side, and you can see the Sharpie. And so remember we wanted to cut on like the inside line of that Sharpie. I can still see a bit, so I want to take away that Sharpie, and then I know that my piece is going to be as close to fitting as possible. Let's see if it fits. That looks pretty good to me. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because you can just change these other pieces a little tiny bit if you need to be. So now we're on to the next step, which we are gonna clean this off with alcohol, and then we're gonna foil it. So you just take some paper towel. I like to rip it into smaller pieces, and some alcohol. I think that one's empty. And just take a little bit, and you're just cleaning off kind of any dirt, debris, glass dust, Sharpie, anything that would cause the foil to not stick. Foil also doesn't like to stick to glass that has kind of grease from your hands, so try not to touch the edges too much once you've cleaned it. Then you're going to take your copper foil. I haven't used this in a while, so I know the end isn't sticky, so I'm just going to cut off the end. And again, try not to touch the sticky part with your fingers. It makes things more difficult. So I am only going to foil this part because I plan on putting a wood border around the entire piece, and I don't think I need to have that foiled or soldered, I should say. So we're just going to foil this part here, and this is where other pieces of glass are going to join up against. And I am going to overlap this edge a little bit. You want to have your glass as centered as possible, so I try and make sure that is stuck well. And then how I do it is I go like this. Now it's hard to see on the camera, but with my eyes I can see that it looks like there's about an even amount of foil on either side of the glass. So I just do a little bit at a time, and then I'm gonna rub my thumb along there to get it to stick. I'm using my fingers to bend the foil over the glass on either side of it, and then in areas where you have a deeper curve like you do right here, you want to warm the foil first to make it a bit more malleable, so you can just rub it with your finger back and forth a bunch of time and then bend it over to prevent getting any splits in the foil, which will affect your ability to solder, or at least how the solder looks. Then you want to take some other tool. I think this one is called a FID. You can almost use any kind of hard item and just really make sure that the foil is well adhered on the edge and also on the front and the back. Doing this will make sure that it is really stuck on there, and that means that the solder will be able to kind of better hold together all of the pieces of glass. So that is that piece foil. And then we're going to put it into its place over here, and we're going to use some pins to keep it in place. I'm not going to put a pin over here right now because this is the next piece of glass that I'm going to work on. We're going to cut this piece next, and again, to try and keep this side as straight as possible, I'm just going to keep using the edge of paper, and you want to slip some scrap paper underneath the glass so that you can see your pattern underneath. Then I am taking my Sharpie again. I think I'm going to switch to my thinner Sharpie. And I am going to trace along the edge of this piece because this is going to allow this to match up really nicely. And hopefully you can see, I can see the design through the paper. So there we go, that is the next piece. Quickly cut that out. We have piece number 2, which is that right there, and then we're coming back over to our glass, and we're going to find out where we want to cut next. I kind of want the striations in the glass to be going up this piece, So instead of cutting, you know, exactly like this, which I could do, I am going to find somewhere in the glass that I like. And it's a hard decision sometimes between, you know, cutting just in one area and saving glass, if that makes sense, versus using a piece that you like. So I'm just gonna do that anyways. I like this piece to kind of be at this angle. I'm gonna move you over here. So I don't know if you can see, but right here, and I want the angle to be going up this way. So I am going to make that happen.
And again, I'm just going to trace with my Sharpie.
So next I am gonna score from here along here. I'm just gonna take the end of my tool, and I'm just gently tapping along the line. And we'll see if it'll let me break it. Okay, we're gonna need some leverage. Let's check our fit. She's just a little bit wet there. And okay, so you can see here the fit is not great. First, you want to look for areas where it's pivoting. And so I know that I need to take a little bit off right about there. So back over to the grinder. But this is a much better fit. As you can see here, the glass must have not broken where I want it to, or I traced it wrong, but that's okay. I am just going to alter the design a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take off that piece, and we're probably gonna have this kind of come in like that. And this I'm just gonna smooth out. I think this is the final check. And that is good enough for me. Okay, that piece is cut and foiled, so we're gonna slide her into place, get some more pins. There you go, 2 pieces done. That is how I score, break, grind, and foil my glass pieces. There are obviously different ways that people do things. This is how I like to do it. I also like to do it piece by piece. And by that, I mean kind of foil as you go and pin the pieces in as you go. You can kind of grind everything, put it aside, number it, then go ahead and foil it all at once. The benefit to doing it this way, I think, is that if there are any kind of minute changes from the thickness of the foil, you're going to be able to manage that as you go, because that could potentially change the way the glass pieces are fitting together if the pattern is bigger. If it's smaller, not so much a worry. So anyways, please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm going to continue to work away at this.